Hey there. So today I want to talk to you about feeling more and thinking less. I think that we get caught up in the rat race of life, like I say all the time. Our mind is busy, it's chaotic, like you've got your smartphone and this is a huge distraction for people. And you're in the middle of doing something or completing a conversation and you get ping, and all of a sudden you're not actually present. So I want to talk to you about one of the ways that you actually hone your intuition is by actually feeling more and allowing yourself to actually feel what's going on for you and what's going on in your body, right? Our mind is so busy that we often don't even know. I can't tell you how many clients that I have had on my table or in my Zoom room. And they're like, yeah, I don't really, have any pain or anything like that. There's nothing that's causing me a problem in my body. And I'm just like, really? Because when I'm proxying you, everything hurts. Like my head hurts, my neck hurts, my stomach hurts, everything hurts. So a lot of times we become so disassociated with our body that we don't even realize that we have these pains or these ailments, right? So that's one of the very first things I want you to do is I want you to actually stop and actually feel what you're feeling in your body. And go back to the other video where we talk about your five conventional senses, because sometimes we don't stop enough to actually acknowledge things. So for example, I might close my eyes and say, okay, I can smell that someone across over there is cutting the lawn because I can smell the lawn that's fresh. I can feel the wind against me and I'm not cold. I'm really comfortable, right? But we don't often stop and actually feel anything, right? And part of our intuition is if we don't feel what we actually feel in our body, how the heck do we know things? How the heck do we pay attention to outside influences? The other thing I want you to think about for a second here, how many people have you woken up in the morning? You're like, man, I got a great night's sleep. You feel really good. You get up, and about 10 minutes after you get up, you're like, oh, I got a headache. Oh, my stomach doesn't feel good. I want you to start asking yourself, is this mine? Does this energy and this ailment belong to me? Oftentimes people who are, part of the spiritual community or on their spiritual journey or just starting their spiritual journey are empathic and often don't realize that they take on the feelings of everyone in the entire world. So all the people that are close to them, all the people that are around them, they feel everything for them. Like how many of you have went into a party and felt great going in, and then by the time you leave, you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm drained. I can't even, don't talk to me, because you've just taken on all the energies of every other person in there. Or you walk into a hospital, which is a really interesting place energetically, and you're like, oh man, like I'm feeling dread and I'm feeling fear and I'm feeling death and I'm feeling all of those things, sadness. And that doesn't belong to me. If you are empathic, you are not here to take on the feelings of other people. That's what they're contracted here to do themselves. That is their contract. That is their life. Sometimes empaths think that we are stronger and that we can handle more things for more people, but all we're doing is hurting ourselves by doing that. So ask yourself a few times a day, does this belong to me? Is this headache mine? I feel tired all of a sudden. Is this mine? And if it's not, when you discern, return to sender with consciousness. Okay. It's not psychic attacking. You're returning to that person. You're making them aware. Now, when I say asking yourself, I'm asking you to use your discernment. Okay. And some of us, we're really new at this kind of stuff, and we may not have that trust of ourself yet, our trust of our intuition, our trust of our gut. And we might actually just need to use a pendulum. Okay. So if you get your pendulum out, just be like, hey, you know what? This headache that I have right now, does this actually belong to me? Right? Mine's a dead stop. No, it doesn't belong to me. Right? So return to sender with consciousness. The other thing is, if it does belong to you, kind of dive into the emotion of that. What is that actually about? Okay. Like you're getting ready to go to a party and all of a sudden this like feeling comes over you and you're like, oh man, I all of a sudden don't feel well, or I feel like I'm nauseous, right? Is that, are you acting out of fear? And if you are, what is that? What's it about? Is it about not being accepted or approved of, not having control over your situation? Because those are the three main reasons that we do everything in life. Um, is it about a certain person that makes you really uncomfortable? And like, is it in your highest good to actually go and not operating out of a place of fear, but operating out of a place of love for yourself, right? So are you operating and making decisions out of fear or out of love? You know, for example, let's say you're dating someone, right? And it's going really good. And you're just like, man, I got all the feels. I got the butterflies. This is fantastic. And then you're like, but there's a couple of really core things that I'm concerned about, like finances or whether they're stable, or, you know, if they are telling me the truth or being honest. And you have to ask yourself, is it a deal breaker? But are you acting out of fear of what happens if this goes too far and then I can't get out because like I fall in love with the person? Or are you acting out of a place of love for yourself where it's like, no, I'm never going to do this to myself again? Because oftentimes we actually we actually block ourselves from really great relationships because we're operating out of fear of it happening again. And that is actually something that we need to clear. And we can do that sometimes through clearing statements, which are also something, I don't know if I actually have a video on that. I might have to do that. You just gave me an idea. I'm talking to myself, right? Yeah, there you go. So are you operating out of fear or love? The other thing is when you're using your pendulum and you are asking these questions, if you are asking when you're highly emotional, you will not get the correct answer. You can control your pendulum. So bypass statements are also really important when it comes to this kind of stuff that will help you with your intuition. So asking your ego to step aside when you're asking things, and asking your emotions and your ego to kind of step aside and not take control here, and then asking the question, truth, you know, should I continue dating this person, for example, is one way to do it, is using a bypass statement, right? So I'll usually be like, okay, so, you know, if I'm highly emotional and highly connected to this answer, I'll be like, you know, truth, is it in my highest good to date so and so any further? You know, if I bypass my ego and my emotions, what is the truth? Should I continue to date them, right? And my pendulum will give me an answer. So yeah, if you want to know more about this kind of stuff, I have this really cool ebook that's free. It's 6 ways to raise your intuition and your energy. And these are just some of the ways that we're talking about. And I know that they're really simple and really common sense, but you'd be amazed how many people don't actually do this. Okay. How many people don't have discernment? How many people don't realize that most of the energy that they have running through their bodies, that is like taking them out every day and not for lunch, is actually other people's ish, and that we need to return that it's not our responsibility. The other thing we can do is, if we are constantly bombarded with that, we can help start to transmute some of this by simply just intentionally asking for that to be transmuted. So when I ask for energy to be transmuted, I can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to ask Mama Earth, and I'm going to ask my surroundings and the universe to come in, that take this energy that doesn't belong to me and transmute it out of kindness for the other person. It is not my job to be doing that. That's not why I'm here, but it's something that I will do if it's constantly being bombarded. And then sometimes you have to put like a little bit of a bubble or a vortex around yourself, because sometimes when, you know, when we do something that somebody doesn't approve of, or, you know, when we step out of control dramas, for example, and control dramas are from the Celestine prophecies, you can look them up. And we no longer, you know, for example, start playing in the victim role, like with somebody else. If someone comes to us and they're playing the victim, when we step out of control dramas, they get really pissed at us. And sometimes they psychic attack us by saying, oh, Michelle's this and she's that, and she thinks she's so good and blah, 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 blah. And every time that those words hit us, because our words are very, very powerful, they actually hit our energetic field. So we all like almost kind of have that, like have to have that, I'm rubber and you're glue, and whatever you throw at me will bounce back or bounce off of me and stick to you, like that kind of thing when you were a kid. It's kind of like that, but you can create the energy field around you to kind of bounce all that out of your field. But you also have to have some discernment. You can't just always rely on a bubble. I really hope that that's helpful. If you click below, you can go and pick up that free ebook. There's a bunch of activities you can do. They're great things to do with kids, like really fun things. So if not, you can also check me out at purplemoonhealing.com. And if you could like and subscribe to this video, that would be fantastic. And I hope to see you again soon.